Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking about different educational opportunities for young people, for families, to learn things that they may not necessarily learn during the regular school day. And one of those is something I think we all talk so much about, and that's our environment. Whether it's the sea, the land, what do we need to learn about it? What are we doing about it? And we have great resources right here. And one of those is the Annapolis Maritime Museum. And joining me is Josh Schmidt, who is a volunteer and says he can talk about this for hours. I'm sure you can. And so let's talk. Let's talk about what is the museum?
The museum is in an oyster packing house that was called McNasby's. We still have the sign there. We still have the cans of oysters and the big vats where they cook them. We've also acquired a park across Back Creek. The city of Annapolis has fixed us up with that for our education program, and we're developing that. Museum is a place that celebrates the maritime heritage, particularly of the fishing, the watermen, the crabs, the oysters, the rockfish, the boats, the history, and my primary focus is the education. To tell people about what happened, tell people about the challenges and about the future and what we can do about it. And in particular, to educate children about it.
And when you talk about the education, and is it about Annapolis or is it about just in general about the whole maritime world?
Let's start with that.
Okay,
an oyster's a bivalve, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and that's an oyster shell, Crespetia virginiensis. Can you say that?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't even try.
I was an English teacher for a long time and a school head, and I'm a word guy and an image guy, and I don't have much formal science background. So when I started volunteering there, it really caused me to learn tremendously quickly a whole lot about oysters, about the bay, about problems with the bay, about the history of the oyster dilemma, basically. And I find it really, really fascinating. And part of my job is to share this with kids. And we encounter lots of kids today, including my grandchildren, who are much happier playing on a digital thing or on a telephone than they are finding out what's on the ground what's underneath the ground that they're walking on, what's under the water when they go past a creek or the beach, what's going on. So when we first hand living oysters to kids, or an earthworm that we do with elementary school kids, that's a magic moment. And we touch them, and that's my goal, is to touch each child. And the museum deals with, I don't know, 8,000 or 10,000 students a year from all around. The furthest away group that I dealt with was a bunch of Boy Scouts from Indiana who were in town for other things, and they came by and we did a program with them. The educational program itself, the formal part that I'm aware of, was with 4 middle schools in Anne Arundel County as part of their regular science curriculum in 6th grade. Meade Middle School, Annapolis Middle School, Severn River Middle School, and Wiley Bates Middle School. And we've met with them 3 times a year. This year it was just 2 times, and collaborate with the teachers and present a program that it has some real substance to it. I mean, we do dissections with 6th graders. We talk about reproduction and eggs and sperm. They hold baby spat. And then we count the spat, and then we plant them on oyster sanctuaries in the springtime in collaboration with Watermark. So those are their spat.
Right.
And they want to know about them. And can I name my spat? Can I take a spat home?
And they never would have learned this anywhere else.
Yes, they would. That's a point I'd like to clarify. There are lots of places that are doing education like this. There are hundreds of nonprofits around the Chesapeake Bay. There are 14 million people live in the watershed from Cooperstown, New York, all the way down to the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. And there are tens of thousands of citizens who are growing oyster spat on their docks. One of them works with you, and she greeted us at the door. And people are aware of it, and I find that to be very, very important. It's bottom up, It's citizens doing things together for betterment. Just as after all the trash washed down from the Conowingo a couple of weeks ago, I mean, there were thousands of people just on the water side around the Chesapeake clearing things up. That's where I got some of the sweat on my hat.
Right.
So, and that's not to say there isn't great support from the government, from DNR, from Governor Hogan, from Governor O'Malley, from Mr. Bush, and we're not alone at all in what we're doing. And the good news is that there's been some progress. The oyster harvest is up. The blue crab population, although it's suffering a little bit right now, in general, I think in trend lines, and I think in general we're doing better. The underwater grasses are improving. We're planting oyster sanctuaries and keeping them safe from predators.
And the exciting part is when you talk about reaching the kids and getting to these kids. I mean, there are lots of kids who've never experienced this, seen this in parts of our state or other states, whether they're inner city kids who've never seen it or understand it, and you're teaching it. So I wish we had more time to talk about it. We don't. I know you said, you're right, you could talk. Well, maybe we'll bring some kids in one day.
I'd love that.
And do that and let them really show some stuff. I would love to do that because it's so important, and I love the hands-on, and that's just critical. So good luck. Thank you very, very much, Josh Schmidt, Annapolis Maritime Museum.